Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And I'm trying out to be an announcer. Goal!
Bruce Buffer vibes.
I like it.
Today.
You like it?
I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I have a choice.
No, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Y'all, I am running on energy drinks and more energy drinks. I don't know. That's it. I'm flying out at like 6 o'clock in the morning to go to Florida, and I'm staying up all night because I'm a night owl anyway, and we have to leave to go to the airport at 4:30. So
get to watch your Miami Dolphins play a fantastic game of football against the Ravens.
I know. I'm excited. We scheduled this before the game started, or excuse me, before the season started.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Dolphins, we're going to be a good team. I was looking at like the record, and I was like, okay, at worst we'll be like 4 wins, and the Ravens will be, I figured at worst probably a 6-2 football team.
Yeah.
Maybe 7-1. And didn't expect to be 2-7. Didn't expect to lose to the Jaguars and the Lions this year. That was right? Yeah, no, I didn't expect that. At least we beat the Texans this week, so we ended a 7-game losing streak with a win this past week.
Yeah.
Now we get to play a Ravens football team. Good thing the Dolphins never struggle against running quarterbacks. Oh, wait.
Totally, you're built for that. Yeah. I would say the only thing in your favor is that it's a short week.
Yeah, and it's a home game.
Yeah, it's a home game. Maybe there's a chance. Listen, we just got off of one of the weirdest weeks in NFL history when it comes to looking at favorites. And, I mean, we're talking like if you were looking at it from a betting aspect, we're talking spreads of 5.5 points, 6.5 points, 7.5 more points. And they lost straight up on the money line. So maybe you can have a little bit of that weirdness carry over into this Thursday night game because the week isn't over, I guess, maybe, for the football gods. I don't know. You just better be praying.
Hey, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the chance. Listen, it'll be fun to watch. Hope. I get to see Lamar Jackson. I get to wear my Dolphins jersey, and I get to see my family too. So like that's the other aspect of the trip. So it's not all.
Look, you're already finding the ways that it's okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Listen, it's a night game, so I have a full day of drinking with my family. So that'll be fun.
You're doing what I do when I go down to Auburn, and it's like 2 years ago when it was the Iron Bowl, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a good experience no matter what, and I'm going to be glad that I embarked on this journey. And we won! We won, so I didn't have to care about any of that other bullshit. Yeah. We won. As long as you win, you're fine.
Fuck the journey.
Yeah, who cares about the emotional experience? That's a coping mechanism. That's what that is. Get dubs.
It's my girlfriend's first game, so that'll be fun. She never roasts me about the Dolphins either, so that's great.
Exactly.
She knows nothing about football, doesn't watch the pod or anything, but she knows just enough to piss me off. Like, that's a great aspect.
Rumor has it she dated a Dolphins fan because you're not getting a ring.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a button on there for it.
Yeah, let's see if this is the one. Nope, that's not it. All right, we won't even try it.
It's okay.
All right, yeah. Listen, let's get into last week a little bit because we got to talk about it. We talked about it a little bit on our power ranking show, which I highly suggest that you go watch that because this past week ruined our power rankings. But really, the one thing that I think came out of this week, it was kind of a balancing act for the AFC in particular. Because you look at the AFC teams right now. This race is close for some wild card teams. Let alone divisions are wide open for a lot of divisions as well. AFC East, really the only division that looks secure is the Titans in the AFC South. Other than that, you have the Ravens with a 1-game lead in their division. You have the Bills tied with the Patriots in their division. And then you have a 4-way tie right now. All 4 teams in the AFC West are 5-win teams right now. Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers. Say what you want about any of those teams. They are all mathematically right in the driver's seat for winning that division.
Yeah, a lot of good football left to be played. The AFC is deep. The NFC has a lot of guys already penciled in for some of these divisions. While we're at week 10, and we're seeing deep fights to where 1 through 4 could be completely flipped head over heels in 2 different divisions, the AFC North and the AFC West. I don't know how it's going to shake up. We have 3 teams that are mathematically eliminated, and I don't even know if your Dolphins.
They're not. None of them
aren't even. Yeah.
Mathematically, the Texans at 1-8 could still get in there.
Technically,
but realistically, you got 4 teams right now. Dolphins, Jets, and Jags are all 2-win teams. So realistically, they're all out. Obviously, Texans as a 1-win team, they're probably out.
But AFC up from there, literally. At that, we have the Colts at 4-5. The rest of the NFL is good to go on that.
We have the Colts at 4-5, and then what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams that are 5 wins right now. 9 teams. 2 of those will be division winners, theoretically. And the rest, who knows?
there's gonna be some teams missing the playoffs right now that are saying, at the end of the day, every single person is in the driver's seat and they all control their own destiny, minus a few, like we said, and minus some of the bottom dwellers there. But
hey, Dolphins could go on a run.
A lot of good ball left to be played. There's a chance.
Does 10
you win
7,
this week, you're 3-7. 10-7 makes it.
10-7 makes it. That's if they go on a run, don't lose another game. That's not going to happen. Obviously not.
10-7. I do think 10-7 makes it.
I don't think it does.
Really? You think?
I think down the stretch.
6?
Down the stretch, there's what? There's we played not through 9 games. We have
8 left.
We have 8 games left for most teams. So 7 to 8 teams total, or 7 to 8 games, depending on when you've had your bye.
And I'm going to say the good teams should be able to handle 5 to 6 of those 8 games. So So add 5 to 6 to that, and we're talking. I mean,
you're right.
11.
You're right. You could easily have.
I think we're going to have a chance for a losing record to get in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, there's not going to... I mean, do you think... I mean, listen, I could see it going the other way. Listen, we'd have to break down how the schedules work out, and we're not going to get into the weeds that far. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if there are 3 11-win teams that get wild card spots. It wouldn't surprise me if it went that way.
Because you have so many teams up top that are so close.
Exactly.
I'm looking at it from the opposite stance and saying that they are just like cannibalizing each other.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's this... We're at week 16, and we're talking... They're still like 8-4,
or 9. There's
9-6.
Yeah.
You know, they're all still so close and interchangeable. Who knows?
It's going to be fun to watch. It really is.
Whoever wrote the tiebreaker rules is sweating right now at that book because they're like, oh, I don't have anything after 6. It's about to get put to test.
It's interesting too because you look at like the top 2 teams. The top team in the AFC right now is the Tennessee Titans, who just lost Derrick Henry. Now, the Titans mathematically are looking good for the playoffs. First of all, they're the only team, as we said earlier, that are looking like they're going to win their division. They have to worry about the Colts as a 4-win team. They have 3-game lead, and they beat them twice, so at worst they have to tie with the Colts. They're not far. A couple more wins throughout the year and a couple losses from the Colts, they have it mathematically won, right? Yes. So that should be taken care of. Outside of that, Ravens at 6-2. Who's going to the Super Bowl out of these teams? Could it be? I mean, we're looking at Broncos, Bengals, and Browns are statistically at the bottom of those 5-win teams that we've been talking about. Are those teams just as good of a chance as Chargers, Bills, and Raiders that are at the top of their 5-win teams? This is just how the tiebreakers work out.
I mean, do I think that they're as good as them? No. Do I have a lot to support my argument other than looking at last year and certain successes that we see? If you're focusing on this year alone under a microscope, solely looking at the teams right now, it's deep. There's a chance that we could see, oh my God, the Broncos making a deep run in the playoffs just because they're able to catch some lucky breaks their way. If you make it to the playoffs, you're 2 games out from a realistic run, I would say. I mean, that's being in the championship game. Yeah. And then from there, Super Bowl, you're looking at it. So,
3 games. You win 3 games.
Any of these teams have a chance to do that. What I want to say is that you have the Titans, Ravens, Bills, and then Chiefs. But we're done with the Chiefs for now. We have to be. If you're anti-Chiefs, get ready, though, because them being 5-4 on a down year is hard to say because everyone else is 5-4 right now. They're still very much in this thing. If there's ever a time for them to have a hiccup, is what I'm saying, they can do it now and still win this division. And nobody's talking about what happened at the beginning of the year.
The Chiefs can be average for another 5 games and then catch fire, and they win the Super Bowl.
Think about it. They're always good, right? Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey and all those guys, lightning's going to strike. It hasn't hit yet, so...
Let them catch fire. And there's nobody on this earth that follows the game can sit here and tell me that the Chiefs aren't capable of catching fire in Week 16 and running the gauntlet through the Super Bowl.
Everyone came into this year assuming that the fire was already lit, that they were just going to bum rush everybody in the league. We haven't seen that yet. You know, there's been some hiccups. Mahomes not really gelling right now with the whole system. But top to bottom, AFC, interchangeable.
Interesting stuff. And then you look at the NFC, and it's like
got a lot of top dogs in the NFC. There's a lot of stones that are not going to be moved.
You got the Saints that are 5-3. They're the only 5-win team in the NFC total. And you got the Rams, Cowboys, Bucks, Packers, Cardinals, all 6 or more wins. And then it's like Falcons, Panthers, Falcons and Panthers
at 10
4
teams
wins
below 500 in the
that
NFC.
Feel and
16.
And the Panthers and Falcons, they're in the 20s for us in our power rankings. They feel very unlikely to make a playoff push by any means. But I mean, realistically,
well, they're in right now, right?
Yeah, one of them's in. The Falcons are in.
That's 5. Saints is 6, and Falcons are ranked
at 7. So I mean, you look at your Vikings at 9 wins. They have a good shot at making that 7th, and I don't think it matters. I really think it's all for show. Whichever team gets that 7th spot, you're not going to beat the Packers, or whichever team gets the 2nd spot. Could be the Packers, could be the Cardinals, could be the Bucks, could be the Cowboys, could be the Rams. Any one of those teams could end up with that 2nd seed who gets to play number 7. To me, that's just an extra bye because you're not.
I see one team on that list. It's Seattle Seahawks.
They're another team. They could catch fire.
With Russell Wilson coming back late, out of every single team Falcons down, they're a team that with Russ and that factor, they might be able to do it.
3 wins, though.
I know. No, trust me, they're not looking good. But I'm saying compare that 3 wins to the Eagles, the Niners, the Vikings, all their injuries and whatnot. In Seattle with Russell Wilson is capable of traveling.
It's so interesting how and this is a total change of the conversation completely. But you look at these backup quarterbacks in the NFL. I would have told you at the beginning of the year that Geno Smith was a quality backup, right?
Yeah.
Russ goes down, and Geno Smith is probably going to be out next year, right? The Seahawks are going to be looking for a different backup because they just got proof that Geno Smith can't run the offense without him, or can't win games without, as that starter.
Yeah, you had the answers to what he was.
Exactly, right? And then but on the other flip side, you see a Cooper Rush, who I would have told you terrible backup. He earned a paycheck for the next couple of years, I would bet. Even if he doesn't get on the field again, the Cowboys are going to be able to look at that win against the Vikings and say, hey, he played pretty well.
Yeah, you had
threw an interception, but other than that, he played pretty well. He gave your team a chance to win. That's all you need. And then Colt McCoy, still in the league, winning a game for the Cardinals, playing well.
I was happy to see that. I've always liked Colt McCoy.
I was.
Kind of had a soft spot for it.
Absolutely. It's just interesting. The role of the backup quarterback was if you keep your head down and your starter plays the 17 games. You're pretty much, assuming you have the name, assuming you're performing well in camp, and you're kind of solidified in that role as the backup. You got another year. It's only when the backup gets hurt do you really have a chance to lose your job or earn a paycheck for the next couple of years.
Imagine the humbling mindset of a backup is to look across the league and be like, listen, I don't have to be 1 through 32. I have to be better than Trevor Siemian. I have to be better than Cooper Rush. I have to be better than that Geno Smith. I have to be better than Matt Barkley or Mike Glennon, Josh McCown, all of those other names that we've been so accustomed to hearing backup-wise. Those are the names that they're competing amongst.
Hey, that's what Fitzpatrick did for years, right?
Yeah, it's wild. And then there were times where he would, kind of rise up into the rankings and be like, he's good, he's there.
Yeah, he constantly got his chance, and he constantly, showed that he deserved to be a backup at least. I don't know. That's a totally off-the-cusp kind of conversation. But I thought it was interesting.
And I never thought we would have this much of a sample size with how many quarterbacks we've had to see out right now.
I mean, talk about backups. Mike White played awesome in his first start and then gets hurt the next week. And honestly, I think he would have had a good chance of beating the Colts. Yeah, because he was playing well. And look, they put up 30 points against the Colts. Obviously, Colts they boat raced them with 45 points on him.
Of course they did. But Mike White going down for a minute there, it was really 7-7 after an impressive drive from them. Yeah. And then he goes down, and it's one of those things where you saw him on the sidelines and he had to be thinking, oh my God, you're kidding me. I'm coming off of they put his jersey and ball in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was the first rookie next to Cam Newton to come in and complete as many passes as he did and throw for 400 yards. His jersey is in Canton, Ohio right now.
That's so
And then in your second start, you hurt your hand, and it's like, damn.
Because if he could have put a good 3-4 games together, even if Zach Wilson is the starter for the Jets, he has a chance to go
Someone's
compete
talking
somewhere.
about it in that room.
Yes, he has a chance to go compete somewhere, and all you got to do is put good film up, and you put up 400 points a game or 400 yards and touchdowns, and you really ball out. Doesn't matter who your young star is, you'll get a chance somewhere.
You're
even if
hot hand, you're at least gonna, like you said, you're gonna get a look somewhere.
Yeah, and then moving on with one more backup, Jacoby Brissette. I mean, Dolphins really regret not keeping Fitzpatrick, or honestly, they really regret last year fumbling the ball and taking Fitzpatrick off the field. They should have let Tua sit for a year, started Tua this year, and kept Fitzpatrick as the backup. I really think that's what they should have done.
If there was ever a time to think where they fumbled their hand, it was that.
Yeah.
They did a great job masking the fact that they wanted Tua, because going back to it, looking before we knew what Herbert was, they did a phenomenal job with playing their hand into getting Tua and whatnot, and it... Right now, with the way that they, I guess, thrust Tua out there early on, it hurt his confidence. I know I can.
Could add
a lot of the viewers can hopefully look if you're on YouTube, and if you're listening, I'll just tell you what John's face is right now. It's not good.
Justin Herbert could have been a quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Say he's putting up 400 points a game for the Chargers.
Translated.
Great. It's fun. It's awesome. Love it.
5-3 Chargers right now, yeah.
I hate
Big
it.
chillin'.
Oh, my God. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else. Odell Beckham Jr.'s in the news again. Break it down here.
Free Odell time. So we talked about it last week's pod. Odell Beckham having some issues with Baker in the offense and I guess the Browns as a whole. And what do you know? In a matter of a few days, it went from Baker has a problem, which we kind of already knew he had a problem. There was some
Baker didn't have the problem.
No, sorry, Odell. Sorry,
okay.
I misspoke. Yeah, Odell had the problem, and in the next few days, it went from Odell had a problem to the team sends him home from practice to now he's on the waivers, and he went unclaimed on waivers. The main reason he went unclaimed on waivers was because he said if the wrong team claims him, there will be issues. That was the only quoted word that got out there was issues. So they're saying the Green Bay Packers are the favorite to get him right now. I'm sure, knowing our luck and timing in football news, that by the time you hear this, you will already know where Odell goes. So I'm going to go ahead and say I think he's going to be on the Green Bay Packers. I think it's going to be a good fit. I think it's a playmaker, and it is a very, very, very scary thing for anyone else in the NFC.
I'm gonna say I'm looking into the future, and I can't believe what the Patriots look like with Odell Beckham in their team now. Why not? Let's play this game. I mean,
God, the Patriots. So
it's just interesting. They need a starter.
Yeah. Patriots and Packers, I think, are two of the teams. If you were to look at the top dogs, and I know it might be weird me putting the Patriots in top.
I could put a lot of teams in there though. I could put the Raiders in there. Bills could use them. I mean, Bills don't need them by any means.
Yeah.
But if he wanted to go to a contender, Bills would use them.
I don't think he wants to be anywhere near New York, let alone Buffalo.
That's a good point. But I mean, he's famous, so he could probably make it.
It doesn't make sense to me because when he was on the waivers, he was saying but the leaks that were getting out was the 49ers and Seattle Seahawks, but it was also known that Odell wants to go to a contender. So it's like, I don't know. I'm missing the thought process there.
49ers are a 3-win football team right now.
49ers are definitely not a contender. Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson playing MVP caliber ball are a contender, but they already have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and it kind of feels like their whole system does a really good job because they still like to run the ball a lot. So if you're complaining about target shares and whatnot, listen, let's not cut it. Odell was the highest targeted receiver on the Browns team. Sure, that wasn't a lot. Odell only had he amassed 17 catches and 200-something yards and a touchdown. That wasn't that much, but no one else in the Browns really did that anyways. That was just what their identity wasn't, if you would rather.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to find.
It's a good point. You're absolutely right. Like, we really shouldn't over spend too much time on this because he is going to probably be signed and we'll know where he's going. Honestly, we'll probably wake up Wednesday morning knowing where he's at. Yeah. And this pod posts Wednesday afternoon. So it's kind of
bad timing. But like I said, now I do have this question, not where he goes, but as a whole. Do you think Odell is a top 15 wide receiver? No. That was a trending question.
No, he's not. Let's go down the line. Just looking at the teams, and I'm just looking at the NFC right now. DeAndre Hopkins, Adams, the two wide receivers for the Bucks. I'll take two wide receivers on the Dallas Cowboys right now. I'll take Cooper Kupp, who's killing it right now for the Rams. Michael Thomas, even though he's not out, we won't even count him. I guess we can't count Calvin Ridley either, so we'll move on from him. DJ Moore is better right now. I will say that. Justin Jefferson is better right now. DK is better right now. I won't even say Lockett, even though he is better than Lockett.
I would take Odell.
Yeah, he is better than Lockett, but Lockett has the better connection. I would argue if he was on the Seahawks, Lockett would do better statistically. But again, we're at 10 right now, just going through a couple teams in the NFC.
That was NFC.
Exactly. And then, I mean, I won't even talk about any of the other. I'm not looking at anybody else in that rosters.
People would argue Allen Robinson.
Fine. Allen Robinson at 11. I probably wouldn't argue that. So I'm still sit here at 10. But I will say Corey Davis makes it 11 Corey Davis is better right now. Yeah. Not Corey Davis. I'm so sorry. AJ Brown. AJ Brown. I was looking at the Titans. I'm sorry. That was my bad. AJ Brown at 11. Not Corey Davis. You looked at me crazy. And I was
gave my ass whiplash. Said Corey Davis better than Odell.
AJ Brown. Some would argue Hollywood Brown. I'm not even going to talk about guys that you could argue. I'm saying guys that I think there is not an argument in my mind. Keenan Allen is in there 12. Stephon Diggs 13. Nobody on the Raiders. Steelers, I won't say anybody. I won't say anybody. But I think I think there's an argument to be made. But I won't say anybody there. Tyreek Hill is absolutely better than Odell. Browns. I won't say anybody in the Browns. Jamar Chase. I know he's a rookie. I know he's only played 9 games. I'm going to make him the 20th quarterback that's my 15th right there. Broncos. I won't say anybody on the Broncos, even though Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, I think, are in the same realm. And I would make arguments. Better. I will say, I do think
Odell's a top 15.
I do think Odell's better.
I stand by it.
No, I don't think he's top 15. I named 15 off the top of my head, and I think I could argue about other guys.
I think there's debates amongst those 15. Odell, talent-wise, I think that we just have a bad taste in our mouth because...
Who did I mention that you could honestly argue?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore's top 10 in my opinion.
Odell's his true ability, not fitting into a system, not fitting into this or that or the other.
DJ Moore's just looking at just right now.
Overall ability-wise, Odell Beckham is borderline generational wide receiver talent.
He was 4 years ago.
So, and if we,
but we've gone through this. But 4 years is too long of a time to not be statistically killing it. And at the end of the day, I don't think statistics are the whole thing. Absolutely, film study and all these other things, how he does on the field, regardless if the ball goes his way. I'll give you all of that. But at the end of the day, it's been 4 years since we've seen him really produce as a top 10 wide receiver. It's been too long to sit here and say he's definitely that guy.
I'm on the minority right here, as I should be, because like you said, in 4 years, it's hard to point and say, well, he's done this, he's done this, he's done this. But I have seen enough out of Odell. I know the ability that he has. I've seen it. It's stupid to say pregame, because you can't use pregame warm-ups.
I didn't even mention Deebo Samuel, who's killing it. I mean, Deebo Samuel.
There's a lot of good lineups right now. But Odell is better. Odell's best is better than any of those best.
It's hard. Top 5. It's hard because Odell fits a different mold than like a Deebo Samuel does. Obviously, Deebo Samuel doesn't have the top end speed. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know who would be better in a pure route runner. But at the end of the day, Deebo Samuel gets open. Deebo Samuel puts up a lot of production. So like I have to count that. At the end of the day, you're a wide receiver. Your worth is how many yards you can give your team and how many touchdowns you can give your team. That's your worth.
I'm just saying, looking at what we saw out of Odell whenever he was at New York, if you were
insane. Listen, I do want to be clear. Can I just want to put this out there because like I genuinely believed Odell Beckham was the best wide receiver I had ever seen, or maybe not ever seen, but at least was the best wide receiver in the league when he was killing it with the New York Giants. All right, I 100% believed that. I believed that it was a great trade to go get him. I even believed, I would say 2 years ago, I still thought he was that guy. It's been too long for me now. That's where I'm at with it.
And it's hard. That's why I almost can't even say the argument, because it's like I just have to sit here and be quiet and wait and see, because I know what Odell is capable of doing. Does he get the opportunity? I feel like Cleveland was not a good opportunity for him. It wasn't, as much as it looked good superstar status, but I said it in our Power Rankings video, I'll say it again, there is nothing wrong with Odell not being good for Baker and the Browns being better off, and Baker, without Odell. It's okay. It was an ugly divorce. It was a marriage that we thought was going to work because it was like, oh, wow, look at all this superstar talent. It just didn't work. It wasn't. Odell, talent-wise, pure talent, not statistical, not being used in a system, anything. His name should be right along the side of a Tyreek Hill, of a Devontae Adams, of a DeAndre Hopkins. He is that talented. I still think he is that talented.
That is his ceiling. But right now, I take Terry McLaurin. I'm just going through other names. Terry McLaurin's on that list.
Terry McLaurin is one of those guys who is...
Calvin Ridley, I can't mention because he stepped away from football, but would absolutely be on that list. I didn't say Julio Jones because he's had a down year. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I'm still like going through players that like I would look at and be like, yeah, I'd rather have that guy right now.
I get what you're saying. Trust me. I get what you're saying. I am on the minority. I have always been an Odell fan. Always stuck beside Odell.
Of course.
I hope that he gets the chance because I really do think that he can be a difference maker.
Fair enough. Look, I agree. I'm glad we went that way with it.
He needs the ball thrown to him in tight spots in those moments where he can be the guy. And honestly, he just needs to get those looks short too. He is so electric after the catch. It's absurd to think that people have forgotten. There's some new football fans, like you said, 4 years isn't even new for that matter. You could be following the game and still not really dig deep into the past and be like, Odell's not that good. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. There was a time where you did not talk football and not offense especially and not say Odell.
Yeah.
He was generational.
Totally fair. I think I think a lot of the names I mentioned are guys that went in the past like 2 drafts as far as like young guys. There's just this new crop of wide receivers. It brings the bar up. I'm sorry, it does because I mentioned a handful. DJ Moore. I wanted to say Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, which I didn't. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but like those guys I think have potential. I said AJ Brown, like Terry McLaurin, all these guys that are like still young on their first contract.
It used to be like a top 5 wide receiver argument. Now top 25 is a good good complement.
It feels like there is 25 top 15 wide receivers, and depending on what you're looking for and fit into a scheme and all that, I can find you some guys that'll work. That's why in fantasy it's so deep, because there's not one of those guys you would be upset with starting in your lineup every single week. They're all good, and then I can name you another 10, 15 after that.
Like stat-wise, Michael Pittman's tearing it up right now. You'd rather have Michael Pittman than Odell, technically, when it comes to... No, I know you're not, but I'm saying just look at rankings and look at overall leaders and stuff. There's a guy who matches a system and a set and a formation and a this and a that might look better. It is interesting. I feel like it's a lot different now, the way that offenses run, I guess, compared to like 15 years ago. It was just like, can you get this? Do you have that? Do you have that? I don't know. I'm sure it was as in-depth, but it just doesn't feel as... nowadays it feels different. Like you mentioned, certain guys matching certain schemes and systems a lot better. Like DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is a phenomenal route runner. He does great things in that passing attack and system. I don't know if it translates to another one necessarily, but for his value there, he is a top 15 product in the league.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on, and we're gonna finish this with a little bit of self-promotion. Did a video last week or last night, then finished it up last night. Posted it today on Javonte Williams. All right, it's a new series that I'm trying to do, Rookie Watch, kind of just getting back into draft season and looking at it like that. Javonte Williams been tearing it up from a stats perspective. All right, and I want to go through this couple stats that I mentioned in the video, and then bring the question over to you and what to expect from him and some of the other younger running backs in the league, looking a little bit ahead to next year if you're in like dynasty leagues or anything like that. You look at Javonte Williams through 9 weeks, he's ranked 6th in yards after contact per attempt with a minimum of 50 attempts. He is 2nd in the league in elusive rating and 2nd in the league in breakaway percentage. Now, as far as rookies, he is ranked behind Najee Harris and Elijah Mitchell in total yards right now, on the ground at least, but he is far more efficient. He is the PFF 15th highest graded rookie in the total class, not just running backs, definitely not just running backs, the entire class. Dude has been incredibly effective. He has some like splashy holy shit plays. You saw one against the Cowboys last week. He had a good one against the Ravens. This dude, I think, is legit. You look at Melvin Gordon, this is the last year of his contract, probably going to have to move on this year with Javonte Williams playing the way he is the future of the running back position, and this is more of a fantasy conversation. Is Javonte Williams in that conversation? Who else of the young running backs are you expecting to be stars coming up soon?
Yes, I look at Javonte for sure. Najee, if you have some stock of Najee, I'm sure you're happy with it. I will argue that fantasy-wise, it has been phenomenal. On the field-wise, there has been times where I feel like the Steelers play so much small ball that he just gets to be the benefactor, where I think that if you put, and I've said this before, if you put Etienne, if he wasn't hurt, or if you put Javonte Williams there, or if you put even Michael Carter, name the running back that you want there's going to be production solely because of the role that they've asked you to do, which is catch. I mean, there was a game where Najee got targeted almost 22 times a game. I think it was 22 times a game. Yeah. That is absurd for running back numbers. So he's still killing it where he's at right there. But I think Javonte and Najee are the two going forward right now. I love Travis Etienne, but you got to see how he bounces back from that injury.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of running back turnover right now. And, when it comes to fantasy approach, I am completely out on the running back. Get me some of those guys. Wide receivers is the meta. You get wide receivers right now with how deep it is, it can overpower having some of these lackluster star running backs, because we've seen a lot of the top dogs not really perform like that. Derrick Henry, of course, was running laps over people. Unfortunately, he was hurt. Aaron Jones has had good games at times. He's been I'm talking purely fantasy right now, not real, playing X's and O's football. A lot of guys, though, just haven't been hitting. Christian McCaffrey. Let's talk about that. Talk about the transition behind McCaffrey and saying that Adrian Peterson, since 2018, has more 20-yard rushes than McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. AP's been a journeyman backup since 2018, and that's saying that McCaffrey just does not stay healthy. What do you do there? What do you do if you're sitting there next year and it's like, would you rather me have some Javonte Williams, or would you rather have McCaffrey, who you know what he can be? But right now I'm telling you, there's a lot of guys who had that number one pick who made the move that they didn't want to make because they knew the outcome, but they had to make it, and that was take McCaffrey.
Yeah, listen, I get it, but you look at McCaffrey, like they're kind of stuck with him over the next couple of years. So fantasy wise, he should be productive. But
no,
I mean,
and he's only 25.
But this is why you don't pay a running back $16 million a year, because he gets hit 25, 30 times a game, and especially if you use him the way they use him, it's going to happen. And obviously, it was just a hamstring thing. Not a lot you can really do about that. That shit just happens. There's nothing we can do around it. But I mean, it lingers. You have him contractually until 2026. It'll be interesting to see what the Panthers do there. Listen, I absolutely agree. I look at
rumored that they were going to trade him to the Texans for Deshaun in a massive deal.
That would have been a massive deal.
Got out.
But man, I also look. I think Zeke has lost a step. Zeke statistically, or at least efficiency metrics, looking at the efficiency metrics, Tony Pollard is outproducing Zeke
better play
in every category. Pretty much, he's outperforming in every single category. That's between the tackles. That's outside the tackles.
I would argue pass blocking, but if I'm sitting here arguing pass blocking over,
you're in a bad spot.
I've already lost my argument if I'm
26.
saying let's pay the $90 million contract for a pass blocker.
And it's amazing because he's 26. He's our age. He was born the same year we were.
Yeah.
And he's old as fuck now just because of how they're running.
He's old when it comes to the running back shelf life.
He's old as a running back. He's old as a running back
shelf
life.
He
doesn't have another 4 years in the tank. I would be shocked if he does.
Let's go back a few years and talk about David Johnson.
Exactly.
Was on top of the world, fantasy-wise, real-life, NFL-wise, for those last 5 weeks of the season, and everyone was like, it's the guy, gotta get him, gotta go get him. I think he had a good year after that, too. He had one full badass season in the NFL, and then after that, it's a flash, it's a spark in the pan, and when you get it, that's how you get to see generational talent, is whenever they're able to do it, like someone, let's say, like an Adrian Peterson, or even a Frank Gore was able to do for so long, being so consistent deep into your 30s.
All right, before we end it, I do want to go back to this because you mentioned it, and I touched on it a little bit in the video, but I want to expand on it now. Efficiency wise, there's really statistically there's no argument that Javonte Williams has been better than Najee Harris. Now there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, the Broncos' offensive line run blocking has been pretty good overall. Like when you would go back and watch the games, which
they have a decent O-line.
Yeah, it's been pretty good for him. Melvin Gordon has played really well as well. He's splitting carries 50-50, so he's not getting as much wear and tear. So all of those things go into effect when I bring up this question or statement, I guess. I think Javonte Williams is the better running back than Najee Harris in the NFL. He wasn't a better prospect. I had Najee Harris ranked higher than him, but I was close. I did have it close even coming into the class. I know that I understand that there's going to be a jolt there. I understand like how that sounds.
That's why I'm smiling.
It's a bold statement, and that's why I save it for the end. So like, really the people that know me can at least hear me say that, and not just anybody clicking on the video hear me say crazy shit. I'm not saying he is. I'm not sitting here saying that it's a lock, that it's over, that like I'm not slamming my fist saying you're stupid if you think otherwise. But I am broaching the subject that Javonte Williams might be the better running back than Najee Harris. Other things that go into the fact for me thinking that. Watching Najee Harris, he does not have the horses. He does not have the get and go. Obviously, he has the long speed. He's a fast player. I'm not saying taking that away. But his he looks like it takes him a second to get going, right? That's bothered me a lot. He's still a good running back. He's big, strong, can hit the hole and obviously fall forward and all these, I don't mean fall forward, but like he can hit the hole and carry people forward, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But so can Javonte, and Javonte has horses too.
So the way that I would look at it to defend you would be the utilization of the running back in the Pittsburgh scheme. Javonte Williams, I think, could do more.
That's a great, that would be my argument.
And there's nothing wrong in saying that. We've said it before. It's the Clyde Edwards experiment. It's whatever that was.
Yeah.
When Clyde went to the Chiefs, it didn't matter if it was Clyde, if it was J.K. Dobbins, if it was DeAndre Swift, did Cam Akers come out that year? Whoever the hell else came out that year.
Everybody.
You name that running back that went to the Chiefs system, and we said, well, there's your argument for that. They're going to do good. Clyde's been banged up and whatnot, but it really hasn't been. This year has been a down year for sure on the Clyde experiment. But last year, there was production there. It wasn't what you thought it would be fantasy-wise.
It wasn't first-round pick running back.
It wasn't that, but you knew that the running back going to that system was going to put up numbers. And in this case for Pittsburgh, with what they're asking to do, one-cut running back, you catch a ton of looks, a ton of swing passes, ton of checkdowns. Yeah, I think Javonte could do just as much, if not more. than what Najee's doing right now. Yeah. I will say redraft method, Najee is more my like prototypical running back that I would like to build off of, but I loved Javonte coming into this class.
Okay.
Keep in mind, Etienne was my number one, so I still have to sit here and be quiet.
Yeah, no, Etienne was my number one too, and I thought there was a gap. I really did. Like going back, like you go look at my video because I put up my top 5. I put up my top 5 because my top 10 made me look a lot dumber than my top 5 did. Yeah. I had some weird names in the top 10.
I feel like Etienne gives me like a really, really different not different, but a knockoff version of like what McCaffrey can be. No joke. If you were to compare ceilings.
I think he can be a Le'Veon Bell.
And the way that the league is nowadays, that means more than some of these others.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I'm worried about Travis Etienne coming back off of a really, really tough injury. Like that's an injury that really does affect, skill players tremendously.
Yeah, when you're running back, you don't want years taken.
Yeah, we could see this being like a 2-year to fully healthy type of thing. And then also, Robinson's been playing great, so you wonder what the numbers are going to be. I do want to be clear. I do think Najee Harris over the next 4 years will be a better fantasy statistical running back. I do think, if we have a 4-year sample size and Javonte Williams is still being the more effective runner, I'll sit here and tell you that he's the better running back because to me, just eye test, I do think he's a better player.
Javonte looks like a more physical, better runner right now with what I've seen.
Yeah, I think he is. That's what I'm saying. And listen, they're a rookie. They played 9 games, so this is at its core an overreaction conversation. I'm not saying Najee can not grow into what his full potential is. I don't think we've seen what his full potential can be so far, and that does scare me when you're a running back, just because you have such a short shelf life and you have such a shorter amount of time to get to that point.
I think he's going to do really. No,
I do think he's going to be really good. I guess what I'm saying is like, he's had the opportunity to be like the number 1 running back in the class, right? Sure. You know what I mean? Fantasy wise anyway. And he hasn't quite been that, but the offense hasn't been as good. And like, there's other factors.
I don't like that. I think the Broncos have a better offensive line than the Steelers right now. Sadly.
It's not even close.
It's bad.
And that's a fair conversation too. Like that's a big part of it. And also, the other part of it is Najee has to carry the entire load while Javonte gets to split pretty much 50-50 right down the middle with a Melvin Gordon. And Melvin Gordon, stylistic wise, they run the same. So he's learning from, a guy who is him essentially as far as like what Javonte Williams can be in the NFL. Yeah. So I don't know. It was worth bringing up. I wanted to bring it up really just to kind of say, hey, go watch my Javonte Williams video breakdown. And hey, appreciate you guys listening. I guess we'll close it out right there. That's it. Interesting conversation. Closing a little bit short. I gotta get this video edited and out. Gonna be on a plane in a couple hours. So
7.
Peace.